NBA totals for Tuesday, November 15th. Yesterday we were 2-2 on our card. That puts us at 50-40 on the season. We got 3 games on today's slate. We're going to go ahead and start breaking them down. Be sure to check SBR for the odds because, the numbers are always moving. You always want to get the best value that you can. So let's see if we get some value out of these 3 today. Let's go ahead and start breaking them down. First one we got up is Cleveland and Toronto. Oddsmakers have it at 210. I thought that was a bit high. When I first started to look at it, went ahead and started breaking it down. I'm going to go over the total of 210 with Toronto and Cleveland. Now, Toronto, they're averaging 105.3 points per game, allowing just 99.2. Cleveland averages just over 109 points per game. That ranks 4th in the NBA. That ranks 3rd in the NBA. And they're allowing 102 points. Now, the last game Cleveland had, we took them on the under, but I like for Toronto and Cleveland to get up and down just a little bit tonight. Their first matchup, Cleveland won in Toronto. I was a bit surprised about that, but they won 94-91. Really low-scoring affair, 185. Now, oddsmakers have it at 210, but there's a good reason for it. In that game, Toronto was terrible. They shot 39% from the floor and 25% from distance. Cleveland, they only got up 79 attempts in that game. Now they're at home where they go really fast, and they love to go fast. Toronto at home in that matchup, they got up 90 attempts. So that shows me they're okay running with Cleveland. They just were not efficient at all. On the season, Toronto's making 52% of their 2-point shots. That ranks 6th in the league. Cleveland, they're hitting 37.1% from distance. That ranks 5th. Now, attempts, Cleveland's getting up 88.4 per game. That ranks 3rd in the league, and they're allowing 88.6. That also ranks, well, conversely on the other side, is one of the faster teams in the league. Toronto, not bad. They're getting up 55, and they're allowing 82.9. That ranks 7th. I don't think they're going to be able to control tempo at Cleveland. I just don't see that happen. I think Kyle Lowry would be happier, and DeRozan, those guys are going to be happier to go ahead and get up and down the floor. Toronto, a point of contention tonight is, Toronto, they're allowing opponents to shoot 34% from distance. Cleveland loves to shoot the 3. They live and die on that. And Toronto right now, they just rank in the middle of the league in defending the perimeter. So look for Cleveland to score. Toronto's going to run with them. I think we're going to get over that 210 in what should be a really fun game there. That's going to be a good matchup. 2 good teams. Next one up, we got a Charlotte and Minnesota. 206 set by oddsmakers. Now, I went under with Minnesota the other day, and they went over. I'm going to take a shot. I'm going to go under again, though, that 206. Charlotte, they're averaging 104.4 points per game. Charlotte, they're playing some good defense so far this season, though. Steve Clifford does a nice job. They're allowing just 98.9 points per game. That ranks 6th in the league. That's Charlotte. Now, Minnesota, Tom Thibodeau has not got them there. He is going slow, though. They're one of the slower teams in the league, but percentage-wise, defensively, they've been terrible. They're one of the worst teams in the league in opponent efficiency, opponent overall shooting percentage, opponent 2-point shooting percentage. They're like dead last in the league. That's really surprising because, that's an okay Minnesota team. They're scoring 107.9 points per game. They're allowing 105.1 points per game. But then we get to the tempo. Charlotte gets up 86.6. That ranks 9th. Decently fast. Minnesota, they get up 83.8 and they allow just 79.3. That ranks 3rd in the league for how much they allow. So that's more what we're talking about with Tom Thibodeau. Getting out and making teams work for shots. But the shots have been dropping. So, their efficiency has been bad. I expect they're going to improve, at least as an organization, as long as he's the head coach. Minnesota, they're shooting 41.8% from distance. That still ranks 1st in the league. They're not getting up that many attempts, just 22 per game. That ranks 23rd in the league. So they're not, not like Cleveland or Houston where they're shooting 3-pointers all over the place, but they're really efficient when they do shoot them. Charlotte, however, though, they are allowing opponents just 31.9% from distance. That ranks 3rd in the league. So there's another, real point of contention there is defending the perimeter. Charlotte can do it. Minnesota doesn't love it. They like to shoot the 3 and they're good at it, but Charlotte should be able to defend it enough. 206, a bit too high. I'm going to go under the total with Charlotte and Minnesota. Last one up, we got Chicago and Portland. Now, the other day we had Portland on the over at 216 versus Denver, and we got really, really lucky as they ended up at 217. They scored a bunch of points in the final few seconds. It was dumb luck, and we shouldn't have won that game, but we did, and we'll take it. And it's the opposite has happened to us as well, so it just kind of works out. I'm going to go under the 213, and this one was hard for me. This was the toughest play for me to make, but I think the numbers what got me. Chicago's with their makeup, they've been fast. They've been since Hoiberg took over, they've been fast. And Terry Stotts in Portland, they always run really quick tempo, especially at home. So I thought this total would be over a little bit 213. Over 213. So the fact that it's at that number, that kind of made me want to dig a little bit. And so I did. And I'm starting to like under the total. Chicago's playing actually better defense than I anticipated. Right now, they're scoring 106 points per game. They're allowing just 100.8. That ranks 9th in the league, so top 10. Portland, not good at all. They're scoring, 108.7 points per game. That ranks 4th in the league, and they're allowing 111. That ranks 28th. That's been terrible. But how they played against Denver in the second half, I think should carry over into today's game. The way they came back, and they were just played with a lot more intensity on both sides of the ball, on the defensive side as well. Now, Chicago's getting up 87.7 shots per game. That's what we find with Hoiberg, ranked 6th in the league. Portland, 86.4. That ranks 11th. And they're allowing over 89. So, this sets up, Chicago's allowing almost 87 attempts per game. It sets up as high tempo. But shooting percentage-wise, they're both pretty good defensively. Portland is allowing opponents to shoot just 32% from distance. That ranks 4th in the league. And they allow as well, they're defending the perimeter really well and everywhere. They're allowing just 18.6 assists per game. That ranks 3rd in the league. So they're getting out in the passing lanes and they're defending. Chicago, they rank 9th defensively. This is surprising for me. They rank 9th defensively in shooting efficiency and allowed just 11.4 fast break points per game. That ranks 7th. So transition defense. If these guys play transition defense like they've been doing so far this year, they should be able to get enough stops to stay under the 213. They're going to score a lot of points. I just don't think they're going to score 213 with the way these two guys are trying to defend transition. So if these numbers hold up, even with the tempo, I think we're going to see lower shooting percentages from both of them, like maybe 40 to 43% from the field and being limited at distance. Okay, let's go ahead and break it down one more time. Chicago, Portland under the 213 on that last one. Here we go. Cleveland, Toronto over the 210. Charlotte, Minnesota under 206. And again, Chicago, Portland under the 213. Those are my 3 NBA totals picks today. And I wish you luck on your picks today.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SBR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much, much more.